So it's my pleasure to bring to the stage Mary Poppen, Chief Customer Officer at Glint. Let's give her a big welcome.
Testing, testing. Hey, you guys, how's it going? I feel like Janet Jackson. Does anybody remember? It's like the first time I ever saw anybody with this type of mic so she could dance and sing at the same time. But I will not sing, I promise. Even though my name's Mary Poppen. By the way, it's a married name. I did not grow up with it. Just in case you were wondering, I get that question a lot. And how awesome is it to be here in a room full of people that love their customers as much as you do, right? So this next couple days is going to be just incredible. But I'm thrilled to get to talk to you today about something I'm really passionate about, which is the link between employee engagement and customer satisfaction. But the first thing I want to start with is something I've really been chasing the better part of my career, which is, what is the magic key to customer experience? What is sort of that, one thing that you could track down and find, and it would be repeatable, and it would create this wow and amazing experience all the time? And the reality is, there isn't one thing, or one of us would be a billionaire by now because we would have found it, right? The reality is there are several things, and it comes into play at different times, depending on what the customer needs, et cetera. But there are two key drivers that I've found throughout my career that I think really do differentiate the customer experience. One of those is customer intimacy. So I've used this term for the last 6 or 7 years, and I always get funny looks from people. They're like, "Did you just say intimacy? Really?" And I've also been told it might be illegal in some countries. But I don't think there is another word, I haven't been able to find another word, to describe exactly what it means. Customer intimacy, and Dave touched on it earlier, and so did Lonnie, it's knowing your customers better than anybody else. Knowing what they need, when they need it, how they need it. In fact, sometimes you know what they need before they know they need it. Right? And it's this relationship that exists that is really unparalleled. And when this happens, it's pretty incredible, right? The other one is what I call contagious enthusiasm. So this is between the CSMs and the customers, the employees of a company and the customers, but also customer to customer. So this is that opportunity to really be excited about the product, the service, the company, engaging, with a company in a way that makes you feel really good as a customer. And they spread that enthusiasm, to their friends, to their colleagues, and pretty soon you've got this amazing word of mouth and this spiraling positivity happening. And so when these two things are present, it is very likely that you're going to be able to avoid the V word. Does anybody know what the V word is? Shout it out. Anybody? Vendor. I hate the word vendor. I feel it's like a punch in the gut. Unless it's procurement that says it, right? But vendor to me it's a tactical sort of unstrategic relationship. It's just, we exist to provide them something and that's it. There's no relationship and it stops there. And so if we get called a vendor, then I feel like we've already failed. And the other thing to avoid is the have you seen my customer syndrome. So who in here has lost at least once a customer where you sort of turned around and said, "What? Wait, what? Where did they go?" Anybody? Okay, I'm not alone. Okay, that's good. But if you have this customer intimacy and this contagious enthusiasm, it's very likely that you're not going to, be faced with either of these things. So how do we get there? How do we build that? I came across this quote from Simon Sinek. Does anybody follow Simon on Twitter? Yeah, he's got some really fun quotes, but you can see this one's a little dated, but it still applies. And it gave me pause when I read it, because I thought, customers will never love a company until the employees love it first. And while I don't think that is always true, I do think it's directionally correct. So do happy employees equal happy customers? So who likes research? Who likes to know that there's definitely a relationship? Yeah. And by the way, the other thing about research, if you don't have a lot of stats and data internally, it's great to go pull some research and put it in front of your CFO or your CEO. And when you're asking for resources to say, this is what I'm talking about, right? And we can get results and get better business outcomes if we do these things with customer success and with employee engagement. So Gallup did a study, and they actually found that companies who score in the top quartile for employee engagement have 10% higher customer satisfaction ratings than companies that score in the low bottom percentile. So that's interesting. 10%, that's a pretty good number. And then Washington State did a study, and they found, customer sat is directly linked to employee engagement. Okay, that's awesome. But here's the other piece. It's also, they're both directly linked to financial outcomes. So now if you're going to go talk to your CFO, that's something they probably want to see, right? And then Bain and Company did a study. I love this one. So it talks about the employee behaviors and attitudes as being the most significant driver of customer satisfaction. And now check this out. Engaged employees not only spread their enthusiasm, contagious enthusiasm, to customers, but they're more dedicated to providing the best product and service. So there's that foundation for that customer intimacy as well. And then finally, there's a study done by Aon. Am I not clicking in the right? I'm going to click at you guys. I'm going to click right here at Ari. The NPS score difference between companies that had highly engaged employees for those compared to those that didn't. How many of you are familiar with the NPS model? Yeah. A difference between 37 and a 10, that is a huge difference. That is a massive, significant difference. So we know that there's a relationship, but what does it really look like? So like every good consultant has some sort of grid or Xbox, right? We just saw Nicole's. There's definitely a linkage. So when you look on the axis, I'm going to start in the right quadrant, because this is really where we want to be. This is all in. This is where employees are super engaged. This is where customers are super happy. And there's this spiraling excitement about working together and about the mission of the company and the business outcomes, the things that we can achieve together. Dave touched on this morning, Apple would absolutely fall into the all-in quadrant. I'm going to give you just a couple of personal examples as well. How many of you eat at In-N-Out Burger? Anybody? Yeah, so anytime I have an opportunity, and I'm in Minnesota, so every time I go out west, have to find an In-N-Out Burger. Just went to one last week in Reno. There is this crazy busyness and excitement in In-N-Out Burger any time of day that they're open. They open at like 10:30 in the morning until, 1 in the morning or something. Whenever you go, whenever I've been there, there's a line of people, super excited, can't wait for their food. But there's this energy that comes from the employees too. They all have a job, they all have a function. They're high-fiving each other, they're laughing, they're having fun. They're asking the customer, hey, do you want your usual? And the customers are ordering the super secret menu. I'll have my fries, animal style. So there's this real positivity when you leave In-N-Out Burger, at least for me. I always am happier than when I went in, and it's not just because I'm full, but it's absolutely the environment. So this is all in is where we really want to try to get to. But what happens when you've got high customer sat and low employee engagement, right? So your customers are excited about working with you. They're excited about the concept of your business. They, appreciate the value that it brings. But the employees, not really excited about their job. Maybe they don't feel empowered. Maybe they don't believe in the mission of the company, or maybe it's just a job. But it's what I call a missed opportunity. Because what happens is, and I'll give you my Uber experience, I'm so excited about Uber, and I'm a super, super loyal person, so once I find something I like, I stick with it. But I had a few instances with Uber where the driver would complain about Uber as a company and some of the things that they weren't happy with, or they were, having a bad day and sort of it took it out on me. And those are the times that I'm thinking, should I try Lyft for the first time? right? And this is a missed opportunity because I'm an all-in customer. Like, I will take Uber no matter what. But those kind of interactions with employees who weren't happy sort of let my guard down, right? I started to slip into this, well, maybe I could try the competition. So we definitely don't want to be in the missed opportunity either. And then when employees are excited, but your customers aren't, right? The employees get up every day and they're like, oh, I want to make customers happy. I want to create value. I want to do something impactful and meaningful. But the customer is like, you know, I really didn't ask to work with you in the first place. Somebody else made the decision. I'm not excited about, you know, the way that you're helping me, right? And so my example here is I call our internet company probably every other week. I don't know if you guys have that experience, but it's kind of a similar conversation. And I know that the first two people I talk to won't be able to solve my problem, but it's the only path I can take to get my issue resolved. So immediately when I call, I'm not a happy customer. My internet is not working, and I know that I'm going to go through this long process, right? So I probably am not as friendly to the employees as I could be. I need to do my red shoes, you know, framework and remember that they're doing their best and be kind to them. But what happens is these employees start to feel the energy drain, right? It's like people that miss flights and they call and they're screaming at the customer support representatives. How much can you take before you sort of take it personally or it drains you? And so then the employees have an opportunity to just start to slip into that disengagement as well. And then finally, the risk zone. This is like definitely where you don't want to be. So low customer sat, low employee engagement, and it's like, who wants to work with this company? Okay, so hopefully I don't offend anybody, but my example is the DMV. So, right, it's companies that are in the risk zone cannot stay and sustain for a long time unless they have to exist because, right, people need something from them, and so they're willing to go and stand in line and get what they need from the DMV. But the employees too, not super excited, right? Kind of same thing day in, day out, maybe aren't empowered to do anything different. And so that's an example of a risk type of organization. And so think about this for a second. Think about where your company is. I'm going to ask you that again in a little bit. You don't have to answer right now. But if you're in that risk zone, chances are, and you're not like a government-funded company, you need to make some changes quickly. But in all of these zones, the good news is we can take action. So if you are one of those lucky companies to be all in, then congratulations and kudos to you because everybody here would love to learn from you what you're doing that's working. And if you are one of these companies, then think about this. It's a journey, right? Not a destination. So if you're all in right now with employees and customers, how do you stay there? You have to keep investing. And look at what's working. I can't remember, one of the other speakers said it this morning, but look at what's working and replicate it, or keep doing it, or do it even better, right? Think about adding some incremental programs that will even increase that all-in activity, okay? But don't let yourself slide, because this is like where everybody wants to be. And then if you are in that missed opportunity zone, there's a lot of things that you can do here as well. So implement an employee listening program is a good example. Something like a Glint. This is an opportunity to listen to your employees to find out what's working, what's not working, and then you can take action, right? And this improves their desire to stay, also their motivation and their satisfaction. And you've listened to them, and they're the ones that are on the front line, right? So it's good to listen. Nicole was talking about all the surveys for customers. It's the same for employees. Listen to them and take action. Implement a mentor buddy program. Sometimes people won't ask for help, or they don't have the resources, or they really aren't sure how to do their job. But if they have a mentor or buddy, that's an opportunity for them to excel and sort of move into that all-in zone. Management training I put up there because a lot of newer managers, and honestly, even seasoned managers, I think some of you can think of examples of people that just don't know how to relate to their employees. They don't know how to inspire them or how to figure out what really will drive or engage them. And so giving managers some foundation, some training would be helpful. And then company communications is an opportunity to help employees understand how they impact and contribute to the company's success. If you're not communicating how their role is important in the organization, then chances are they may not, partake in feeling the engagement and excitement about the success of the company. And now for the energy drain. So when you're dealing with engaged employees, but customers that really aren't super happy, it's an opportunity to implement a customer listening program. So the 40 billion surveys that are going to be launched this year, maybe we launch 41 billion, and really do some deep dive analysis and do something with it. Don't just ask, do something with it. And then tell your customers what you're doing with it. They don't know that you're taking their feedback and actually making changes, then they're not really going to be inclined to give you feedback going forward. And plus, you're not going to get the same all-in buy-in if they don't know that you're using their feedback. Okay? A 360 view of health, and this is really across the company. So this is an opportunity to give not only the CSMs a view of what's going on with the customer, but cross-functional and leadership. Let them know what's happening with the customer base. What did product do that contributed to a 30% increase in referenceability? Or what did sales do in the new sales handoff process that really contributed to the customer value? Okay, and then finally, with the risk zone, think about a culture club. So if the employees are really not engaged, get a cross-functional group of employees together and have them define the culture of the company. What does it look like? What are the behaviors? What are the values, right? And then you're getting buy-in from the bottom up. You also have, review your hiring strategy. Maybe you're not hiring the right fit. You're hiring the wrong people into the role, or maybe not training them appropriately. Same with taking a look at your support model. Maybe your employees just aren't empowered at the right level to make their customers successful. Like if I called in about the internet issue and they had it documented with a 360 view and they empowered that employee to hook me up with tech support right away, wow, right? Blow my mind. It would completely change things. And then the last thing I would recommend, I've done this several times, which is a customer council. This is an opportunity to pull together a cross-functional group, not just of leaders, but it could be all sorts of roles within the company. And here you talk about how to drive and deliver a better customer experience. And again, you're sort of driving it, bottoms up. And if we get this right, you guys, this is really exciting. So we've got employee engagement. It's leading to incredible service and retention of customers and employees, right? Greater customer satisfaction leading to greater loyalty, and also then all feeding into productivity. And then you've got growth and profit for the company. Wow, right? Now, what CFO or CEO wouldn't buy into this is pretty awesome. I'm not going to go through all of these, but there's some pretty cool additional stats that I'll let you guys take a look at. I will point out, though, that the first bullet does not mean that if you implement these programs that I gave as examples that your stock price or your valuation is going to go up significantly. But there is a correlation, so it's likely it could. The turnover for employees is 12 times more likely in a year if they're not engaged. What does that mean to your customers? Now you're turning over CSM after CSM, right? That is not a good experience. It doesn't feel very good. It's also expensive. And the last one I think is really interesting. So Morrison Management Specialist actually rolled out an employee engagement program. They saw a 30% increase in employee engagement, huge, right off the bat, 15% reduction in turnover, which again leads to more consistent customer experience because you're having the same people who are experienced, and then ultimately a 16% rise in customer sat. So these things are absolutely related, and we can totally get it right. So here's what I want you to think about over the next couple days. And I would love to talk to you about this over wine or without wine or on the zip line. Wine after zip line, by the way. So what does the grid look like in your company? And what do you think is going to make the most impact right away? So to Nicole's point about the micro actions creating macro impact, this is an opportunity to do that. And I want you to walk away today or in the next couple days, one thing. What's the one thing you're going to take back and do different to make an impact or to fight for in your company, to make a change, to start moving to all in? And if you are all in, how are you going to stay there? Thank you so much for your time, everybody.
Thank you very much, Mary. Good job.